On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're back at you to tell you about many more banners coming. Hey, look, there's a new 3-star. But also, some other things are coming. Yes. Also, I remembered Fanservant Friday this time. I'm sorry.
This time.
Yes, I'm sorry. I haven't remembered it. The point of order, I remembered it probably about an hour after we finished recording and started editing the last episode. But, alas, that was too late. Anyway, hi, everybody.
Alack.
Yes. Hindsight is 2020. Hello, everybody. I am one of your hosts, Omega. With me, as always, that other voice is Lucky. And did you know today is Godzilla Day?
Okay, you can't just drop that on me and expect me not to ask it. Is it really Godzilla Day?
Yeah. Godzilla, the original version, came out this date in 1954. I want to say. But yes, this is the day of the Godzilla.
Oh.
I myself just learned this earlier today.
Well, of all the, assorted national assortment things, National Godzilla Day, I think, is one that I can't get behind. But enough on that. I do hope that everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Raids for Fun and Profit. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and the EM version of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should pour one out for Storm Nobu.
Yeah. I was watching that one go by in real time.
It really went.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I believe it was claimed that we may have actually outpaced JP for once.
Yes, I believe that was correct.
Yes, so we actually cleared a raid even more fast, which is astonishing. So yes, R.I.P. Storm Nobu, taken before your time. I'm sure your mats were delicious.
I hardly knew you.
Really?
Really, I actually didn't get a single Storm Nobu.
What day did the raid start? Wednesday? Thursday? I don't remember. What's the linear time? Anyway, I don't think I got any clears either. I was doing something. I don't remember what. Depends on what day it was. Thursday? Was I playing a lot of Cyberpunk? Probably. Or we may have been doing 14? Oof, Robin. We'll go about 6 minutes after Storm died.
Oh, no.
Timing's great. Anyway, those people we're talking to are part of our lovely patron chat, because as always, this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam Hart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos Dragon, Flightless Icebird, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV, 9000, Just the Page, on Sandoval, Australia, Jeremy Bus, Hunter, Liam Custer, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Ro Robin, Sharvor, Sean Pryor, Some Guy Named Bob, and Baron the Crow. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. And access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, as always.
Thank you.
Alrighty, well, as you can tell from Lucky's lowered energy levels, we're not going to try and linger here too long. We're going to get you your show and get on our business. Though we've got a few things to talk about, both up and down the show notes. So let's go ahead and check in real quick with everybody's favorite Kohai, Ash.
先輩、起きてください。
Because, as usual, that means it is now time for our regular segment, 4 Pro Tips. Wake the fuck up, Senpai. So, it's very simple. It's the first, show in a month, so I like to remind you, November's items are stand arrows, gears, and hero proofs. I will appreciate those arrows. And if you don't get why I call them stand arrows, I know they're called arrows of malice, but it's a motherfucking stand arrow, okay? Watch JoJo. The only way it could be even more obvious is if it had a bug on it. Anyway, no real records or evils. The event is in the epilogue phase. I didn't actually jot it down, but I did it master level 149 the other day, so we're still trucking. Boy, those levels take a while, though.
That they do.
But yeah, nothing else really interesting going on right now. I'm stockpiling a lot of QP and EXP for the next cool big thing, which, will be soon. More on that later. But as usual, that does mean we need to check in and ask you, did you finish your master missions? Probably. They're very simple this week. You need to perform 30 friend point summons, which I'm sure many of you were doing already. Defeat 5, then 10 servants. Those are 2 separate master missions. You need to defeat 15 demonic trait servants, and then put a saber in your party 5 times and do a quest, and put a caster in your party 5 times and do a quest. So, continue doing the event. If you have literally done all the event at all, you can also accomplish these very easy by doing some dailies. But, yes, your event farming for any last-minute currency and stuff will probably accomplish these. There are many, many demonic enemies out there. I think it is, one of the most common traits in the game, actually.
I would believe it.
And the other stuff is just, put some sabers in there, put some casters, you'll be fine. You got it. Just remember to do your FP summons. I don't remember what exactly it's for, but I haven't cleared these master missions today. We do appear to have some kind of special campaign going on where you get 2 free FP pulls instead of 1. So that's neat. That reminds me of, we've discussed, ways they can do special things for the friend point gacha. That is something I hadn't really thought about, and is cool. If you happen to have obliterated your FP stockpiles. No, don't obliterate them too bad. You'll need those later. Next year's Golden Week collab. We'll have a new FP servant limited, so get ready to run out that one. But that means we can move on into skeletograms, which I will no longer say in a Skeletor voice because it is November. But the skeletons are still in our heart. So first of all, in NA, we do have the Yamatai Koku rerun banner number 2, starting the 31st, going until the 8th. I believe this is another new whip-up banner for NA, but it's got separate rate-ups for MHX and Space Ishtar. And Kirky is the 4-star on both. So that's neato, if you need those servants. It's pretty cool. We also have announced we are working towards our next event. We have officially announced Caldea Broadcasting Light Volume 4. That's going to be on the 12th, which is a Moon Day. They have explicitly said that next event is titled Guda Ryoma's Narrow Escape. This was Guda Close Call, translated out of the JP server, so Ryoma's Narrow Escape is what we're going with. Got some lovely font. And we've already launched our pre-release social media campaign, so complete that for 6 total Saints Quartzuses. Depending on the timing, the event will probably either start right away on the Monday. Actually, it's the 12th is, I think, the Sunday night? Let me double check. Yes, the 12th is the Sunday night, and then it's going to be the 13th is when people are saying the event will start. Though, no guarantees, because I believe our current event cuts off on the 8th, so middle of the week. We'll see how much time they give us. But yeah, given that time frame, look forward to your pregame for this show next week, because, we've got a little while before it actually starts. But I'm glad that they, both in our previous Caldea Light broadcasting, that we got a roadmap, basically them being very clear to say that, okay, Halloween is going to be this month, next month, there's going to be this event, and then the other month there's going to be another event. They're going to have these requirements so people can, outline exactly what we're looking forward to. And get ready for those bannery doos. And your eventual. But in JP, things are not quite over there yet. The Girlfront has had summoning campaigns 2s and 3s. So, the 2s banner, going from the 30th until the 11th, has Tycho Bobek, Neja as the 4-star, and a new 3-star rare saber, Theseus. That's right, he was a silver. And he will be permanent after this. So that's 2 permanent silvers in one event. Neato. Burrito.
That is quite nice.
Yes. And also, we have a 3rd banner. So, starting on the 1st and going until the 15th. Don't know why I wrote that down as the 5th, me. That definitely doesn't make any sense. We have 2 more rate-ups, so Iskander and Waver both have rate-ups, so Iskander is limited and gets another rate-up. And both of the 3-stars, Zenjubo and Theseus, are on both of those, plus all the CEs as usual. Also, there does appear to be at least one more NPC in the can. There is a major story NPC who was not Theseus, who has been shown in this event. So, I would say hold on to your butts, but we are already at Banner 3, so maybe not this event. We might be saving that for a later event, but as always, we have, the classic, new character spotted vibes. So we'll see what's happening, what's going on there. So, keeping you abreast of the news, mostly just follow-up banners, but we do know what's coming next in our schedule, which I appreciate. I have also seen some people commenting that, just finding it interesting that we do seem to be switching more to more regular broadcasting lights. And I think I can see the appeal. I'm pretty sure, was the last one totally live-streamed? I think it was live-streamed, it was just shorter. But obviously, I feel like during a lot of the COVID and quarantine times, it was a lot of premiere videos, pre-taped stuff, right? And so now that we're not in that, it feels like Aniplex has been slowly getting back into the habit of doing new, live-streamed announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was definitely a light before Halloween. I don't think that counted as a broadcasting full. But if I had to guess, I would say that the light style of doing a shorter stream or video is better than trying to have a longer stream where they kind of, overextend the timer a little by padding it out with, some stuff and things. Usually a lot of the full Caldea broadcasting in English would be like, okay, here's what event is happening right now. And I understand why they want to do that to, pad things out, build anticipation, let people filter in. But I do kind of feel like people would complain about, knowing a lot of this already. So, a tighter focused, also it means that it's probably a lot easier to get Nissan to film, a 5-minute segment to drop in there,
Yes.
Because he does like to do those, it seems, but also he's probably pretty busy. Unrelated, but I did see some tweets that apparently Lysengal over in Japan did a office tour.
Yes.
Because they're looking for new hires, and they do seem to have a nice quality office. They have some FGO arcade machines in there.
Yeah, no, actually, Type Moon has actually been doing a lot of PR work. There's been interviews with Nasu recently. He recently attended an interview with 2 other writers, including Natsuo Ishikawa from FF14, and I believe someone else from the Type Moon writing team. I believe it's the one working on Extra Record at the moment.
That
I
would be
remember.
it. I saw some tweets about that, but I don't have them to hand. But yes, I was going to bring that up as well. Yeah, because that was kind of fun. Because they talk about things in writing they like and going back and forth. Apparently, both Natsu and Ishikawa talked about how much they really liked Undertale and are waiting for more Deltarune to come out. Always cute to see those kinds of little nods. I think it was, if I remember rightly, I think it was Nasu's line of dialogue that says that he's happy to wait because it's going to come out according to Toby Fox's idiosyncrasies was I think how that was translated. And I'm just like, oh, that's kind of cute. The writers talking about each other's writing habits. But yeah, they've been doing a lot of press lately, and so they had an office tour. I do believe they are hiring. If for some reason you happen to be listening to our podcast and are presumably in Japan to take a job offer. But, it's interesting and nice to see. But yeah, I believe JP has also been trying to do more light-style minimal broadcasts or streams. Like, the one they did before the Grail Front was just like, 3 people in a room, basically. Save the big stuff for big events. Speaking, though, of the Aniplex side of things, some merch is percolating its way back into the stateside.
Yeah.
So we have several items are back, and for the first time ever, the Cornunos plush is in America.
The big boy.
He is the big boy, the biggest boy. Also, OST Volume 5 and some other stuff. So they're going to be available early at Anime NYC, and then will be available in future through the Aniplex USA store links. But yeah, get another run through of the plushes, and this is the first time the big floof has been available, so that's something to keep an eye out for. If you don't have a Musashi Bean, those are going to be back in stock. The classic faux plush, stuff like that. So always good to see. I know that our merch pipeline is a little more complicated, presumably because they just have to find the merch in Japan and fucking send it over here. But still good to see. But that's going to be the news for the moment. If you want more details on Theseus, be sure to come back to us after the mailbag.
But with that, let's move on over to this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week, well, actually, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We do have 7 lovely submissions, and we will get through them all. So everyone sit down, get tied up, and we'll begin right meow. This first one comes from the Tire King that wanted some fruit, but the store didn't have any. I feel like you have to be specific about what fruit you want, because I cannot imagine you go into a store and you just go to the produce entry and they're just all like, no, sorry, we're all out. Cherries, gone. Strawberries, gone. Oranges, lemons, limes, fresh out. Do you maybe want, banana? Too bad. Seems a bit much.
I'm just thinking about the superstore.
But they say, question, hey guys, with Thanksgiving around the corner, who do you think will be on the banners this year other than probably Kentucky and Ibuki? What's your favorite anime so far of the fall season? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way and hope you have a great evening. Wah 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 wah. Oh, for Thanksgiving?
I wouldn't actually count on Ibuki for sure because that is technically supposed to be the next million downloads event she's on. They might blend that into Thanksgiving, but that also might happen before that. We'll have to see what they do with the possibly upcoming Gap Week. But for Thanksgiving, I don't know. Is there anybody this year we haven't really had a rate up?
I would like Kama, but that's for purely selfish reasons.
I mean, it could be Kama. I don't. Has she had a rate up already this year, and is she gonna get one in the near future? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yes, Robin is saying Gil. There will probably be a Gil banner, and I expect a Skahak rate up. I could see a Saber Stolf. I mean, that's still next year, so they could do Kama.
Oh, they say that the fruit was a metaphor. Is it a sexual metaphor? That's my first response.
I'm trying to think. Are there any servants we haven't had any big
Thank you, Legendary.
rumbles about? Like, we always assume Skahak and Gil for Thanksgiving. It's just what we do. Probably not MHX in there because she's just having a banner now. I think there was an Aresh raid up like last year on Thanksgiving that came out of nowhere. Maybe like a regular Ishtar this year because obviously also Space Ishtar's just got one. It could be Semiramis. I don't think she's had a raid. She's on schedule for a raid up in a while.
I think the two that are probably at the top of my list would be Kama and Moriarty. They still need a Moriarty.
Moriarty, an old man, a professor banner would be cool.
It would.
I believe I got my Moriarty during Spider's Web, but he's one of those units that's, this is why, like, for instance, I personally have never taken much objection to when they don't do brand new servants for White Day, because they usually use that as a reason to give a limited male who maybe doesn't have a lot of chance for raid ups or raid up. But yeah, there's a few. My calls to action with comments have not been as successful lately, but hey, if you guys at home, have thoughts or who you think would be on the banner. I think, did we cram an Arjuna altar extra this year already? I thought we did. I thought we broke the streak. Anyway, leave your comments below about your thoughts for Thanksgiving, and we can see if you're right.
As for my favorite anime, I've actually been watching several of them. I don't think I can necessarily pick out one favorite, but I will shout out 100 Kanajo, or also known as the 100 Girlins that really, 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 really love you. I also shout out Dead Mount that play, Free Ren, Beyond Journey's End, and
I've been hearing good things about Free Ren.
It's very good. I read the manga, and the anime does an amazing job at it.
That's always good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
If you're curious why I have no major input on this, chat, it's because what is the season to me? I'm terrible at this.
Is there anything else that I can say that I'm watching? I am waiting with bated breath. Oh, and of course, Ancient Magus Bride. I did actually watch the latest episode today. Only got like 7 more episodes, I believe, this core-ish. Maybe
catch up. I'm still lost back somewhere in the previous core.
Mm-hmm.
Find some sit-down time.
But those are the ones I would definitely heartily recommend this core. But let's keep moving on. So, this next one comes from Gahulian God, who says, when watching your potion on new servants got me thinking on reworking eyes for 2 undercooked servants. Geronimo, give him Artorias / Spacious Star treatment and have each of his skill change his MP and face cards stack color for 3 turns, with an added benefit for each of the card tap, attack up, buster, MP gain arts, star gain on hit, quick. Jekyll and Hyde, give him the treatment of new 5-star servant whose name I cannot think of off the top of the head. Let his 3rd skill when Hyde reverts back to Jekyll, also giving an MP gain or increased MP gauge on top of skill cooldown when activation, so Jekyll can make most out of Hyde's buff skills, while also giving him the means to use his MP again, making a loop between Jekyll and Hyde. Cool.
All right. Ptolemy's not really that hard to remember, y'all.
It's not. I think it's the PT that throws people off, though.
That is true. That is a weird one, but we did discuss last time. The P is silent.
I know it's all, but I keep wanting to go Ptolemy.
I know.
Every
I have
time.
that problem too. Even though I know it's wrong, sometimes I'm like, what would be? It rolls off the tongue faster, and it would be funny. Ptolemy.
Ptolemy. I don't know. I think like it's just punchier too. Ptolemy. It's like Ptolemy and Ptolemy. I'm like, the puh.
I mean, I will say in general, I feel like we're a little overcooking on the Geronimo, though. Switching his card types would probably help him with his buffs, because one of them is a little sad. I don't remember which card he's only got 1 color of, or which cards. He's a caster. He might be 3 fucking blues, which make the buster up and the quick up very not good. But I would say Jekyll / Hyde definitely probably needs some kind of way to switch back or otherwise, like, reset his NP, because the reason why I think Jekyll has always been an unpopular unit to use is because after he NP switches, he's a guy who no longer does NP, and like he's supposed to be doing like big damage as a result, but I feel like he's not going to perform at the same level of like a properly focused, offensive NP would be. But that would actually giving him an NP in his Hyde state would be completely unprecedented. I don't even know if that's possible. It is possible, I know, for servants to have multiple NPs effectively, but like Is it possible to go back and program that in? Well, we may find out one day if they ever decide to fix him. It is kind of interesting, though, to see in general, to kind of springboard off this comment briefly, it is kind of interesting in general to see how FGO, like, game design gets further on, right? Like, Jekyll was a year 1 unit, so he has an NP that basically, like, class switches him forcibly. He becomes a different class. He gets berserker damage out of it. And then he doesn't have an NP gauge anymore, and it, makes all of his skills get extra procs. So it's, interesting to see that kind of work. And then you've got stuff like, oh, hey, well, you know how we can make that better? What if Melusine can, use her third skill to switch to her third ascension, which also has a different NP, so she's got 2 NPs, technically. Oh, but then you can't switch back. And now they released Ptolemy, who can freely switch back every, 5 turns. Yeah, I think it's 5-turn cooldown. So, I wonder what new and fancy things they will think of next. Maybe they will actually figure out some way to make Geronimo better.
So, with that, let's keep moving on. This next one comes from a masked man who made a mockery of the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
But they say, Dear Lucky and Omega, meant to post this question last week, but better late than never. Now that Halloween is over, what was your favorite Halloween costume, either that you wore yourself in Halloween's past, or that you saw at a party, or on the ghouls and goblins who came trick-or-treating? Hopes everything going great for you, and sending you good vibes. Wah 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 wah. I haven't done necessarily anything really Halloween-y for quite a while, but I do have a strong memory associated with it, and it was one of the costumes I liked the most. Back when I was very young, like younger than 10 years old, I would say, I lived in an apartment complex in Texas. My mom had gotten me a ninja costume, and I fucking loved it. I would go around the house practicing ninja moves and, running around as you can only do when you're a child. And, since it was an apartment complex, there was usually a lot of kids, and everyone kind of got together during those times, because this was during the 90s when, that stuff still happened. I still don't know exactly what happened to let that die off. But, I remember meeting up with some of my mom's friends and their kids, and they were talking about how dangerous it was getting at night, so everyone should learn how to defend themselves. So my mom showed me, some things I should do. And one of them ended up with, just like a straight kick. I was told to practice on one of the other boys. And in the moments of practicing, I kicked him straight in the fucking nuts and he went down. And it was just one of those moments where, young me went, that's really effective. And it just stuck with me.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us have our, those kinds of, weird crystallized sense memories.
Yeah.
I was pretty into Halloween as a kid. My family would always, my mom and my dad would ask me a month ahead of time, hey, what do you want to be this year? And we'd work out some stuff, usually crafted at home. I think my favorite, despite the fact that thinking on it, this must have been an absolute pain in the ass, but I think my favorite was one year I went as an astronaut. What we did was we just got a bunch of old clothes and some other stuff and just some, greebles. I think I had an oxygen tank made of old cinnamon roll tubes, stuck some hoses and shit on there. Everything we spray painted silver, and I think we've got a chest with some old bits somewhere. I was wearing we couldn't find any good shoes, so I got cowboy boots and we just spray painted those silver. The helmet was kind of fun though, because that was actually paper mache, and to get kind of a visor, we took a 2-liter soda bottle and cut it and glued it into place. That one was very fun and fiddly, but thinking it back must have been an absolute nightmare, because there must have been so much silver paint involved that I just didn't even think about.
The ignorance of youth.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep moving on then. Our next one comes from, oh no, Halloween damage bonus from CEs are gone. Emiko CE? Okay, never mind. I will always say, going from that damage bonus to no damage bonus is always jarring. You always are was my damage always this anemic? And then you realize, yes, it was. But they say, question, so what's happening in November? Planning any Black Friday or Thanksgiving sales? It is really cold. Probably not for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I think I'm actually pretty well off on electronics right now. If anything, I think what I want to do this year is I actually want to decorate for Christmas. Not for, any sort of religious or, packaging. There's just something I find extremely comforting about Christmas decorations, like the tree, lights, wreaths, all that kind of thing. I really enjoy that aesthetic, and Speaking of another, memory from youth, I was always the one who didn't want to take down the Christmas decorations because I would literally just sit in a chair and look at them for I wouldn't say hours. I was a kid. I didn't have that big of attention span, but
It felt like hours because
yeah.
your sense of time is absolutely wild, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been family-wise fond of Christmas. When I was younger, I would, usually do the old run-up of like, all right, tree, put all the ornaments on.
Oh man, if I do get a Christmas tree, I do need to get a Nero and put her on. Can I get a Saber Nero? Oh, Saber Venus at the top of a Christmas tree would be the best.
Well, you could always check Etsy, but if you wanted to get a normal Saber Venus, it would probably be expensive.
I don't even know if they have an actual Saber Venus Figma.
I feel like I've seen a statue from something, so it's got to be out there somewhere. Though I don't know. I could be Berensteining myself. I think the only thing, like Black Friday wise, as usual, I want to keep an eye on is PS Plus deals. Hopefully they're still doing them because I know they're scooching our price up. But yes, this is our first show that it is being produced in November. We have seen many of the jokes, and I appreciate them about October 31st, November 1st. Lucky, you were the one who presented the Discord with the Mariah Carey update, defrosting her to unleash her.
I'm pretty sure I saw a joke about that last year, and I appreciate that she has just taken it in full swing.
Yeah, apparently she saw the joke too. If this is the direction we're going.
I think it's a good joke.
Well, it is solid, and it feels like that some years, right? Like, you're about to be minding your own business, and then it's suddenly like, nope, we've decided we are it's the time, and just Christmas is everywhere. We do our part to try and hold back in the Christmas, retain the power. Yeah.
So with that, let's keep moving on.
Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently November 30th is also Jineko Kadagiri's birthday.
Yes, I do.
The same birthday as Godzilla.
I bet there's art of that somewhere. I can see it in my mind's eye.
But yes, moving along.
So, moving on, this next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Red Hood Lucky and Shadowbringer Omega, no question this week, mainly because I heard Omega pull up the mailbag and call and came to the sudden realization I hadn't sent in anything yet. So instead, I'm sending good vibes and wishing you well. Wah 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 wah. Keep up the great work. Same to you.
I'm pretty sure I leaned far enough back that people couldn't hear the chuckle, but I did do a chuckle there.
A hearty keck, as we say. So, moving on, this next one comes from Shisugitani Amaizen Talai Jobu. No, excuse me, Jubo. Dear Komega and Hamaga Lucky, now that we have two different Ptolemaic dynasty servants, do you think we'll ever get a word or another word? I am not. Do you people want me to suffer through pronunciation of, oh geez, what is even this base? I don't even know. Well, let me see here. Okay, fine. I know you gremlins out there be like, yes, Lucky, butcher your tongue in front of everyone. We thrive upon this. Let's see, do you think we'll ever get an Antigonid? An Antigonid? Alright, let's see. Or Seleucid. Seleucid?
I do believe those are pretty correct.
I am just gonna go with it. What do you think accounts for Lysengo's severe Ptolemaic basis? Or excuse me, bias, not basis. Anyways, any good vibes? Wah 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 wah? No, it's wah 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 wah. And honestly, I don't think Lysengo has Ptolemaic basis. I think they just have a dartboard, and the Ptolemaic is just not getting hit, that's all.
I mean, the thing about the Ptolemaic dynasty is, we talked about this when we talked about Ptolemy I Soter. Also, again, remember, literally Ptolemy the Savior. He was kind of a big deal. Did a lot of stuff. A historian, writer, scholar. And then also he took over Egypt, which has fascinated the ancient and modern world for approximately forever. I'm pretty sure the moment the Greeks discovered Egypt was there, they were like, hey, this is pretty cool. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of, straight line there. Though, there were 16 or 17 Ptolemies and 7 Cleopatras. Or 8 Cleopatras, actually? Is our Cleopatra Cleo 7 or 8? I don't remember. It's one of the VIs, but I'm like, shit, I can't picture if there's 2 or 3 eyes in my mind. But so a lot of them are gonna be duds. I don't know. I feel like to clarify for people who don't know much about history, Antigone Dynasty is the Dorian Greek one that was taken over by Alexander's general Antigonus, who is also known as Antigonus the One-Eyed. Where were those spots? Was that Macedonia? Hold on, there's a color chart here. Yeah, I guess they fought over Macedonia. And the Seleucid was the Mesopotamian and Babylonian empire following Alexander. That was founded by Seleucus I Nicator after the Macedonian Empire was gotten there. That lasted until it was annexed by Pompey under Rome. That one's a pretty big one. I do generally kind of feel like a lot of it has to do with personal preference of the writers. I'm gonna assume either Nasu himself or somebody on the Type Moon team thinks Egypt is pretty cool, given that we've had several Egyptian servants. None that they were the most obscure, but it's a thing. Whereas a lot of our, Persian, Turkic, Mesopotamian, and other areas in that region, those servants have been pretty slim. I'm going to guess that the writers are probably less familiar with that and less driven. This is actually a fun fact I learned the other day. In general, we think of our delightful little mushroom as a very private person, and he is. But apparently, I don't know if this was a recent interview, but I think it was. But kind of, running through all of the interview process, apparently it did come out that Nasu is married, and Nasu's wife is really big into Hindu mythology, and this is probably why fate has taken on a certain turn over the years. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with just writer's preference and area of studies. So yeah, it's probably just they're not as familiar with the stuff. I gotta admit, I've heard of the Seleucids, but I don't think I've heard of talking about the Antigonid dynasty.
Antigonid, okay. Oh, by the way, they did include this at the bottom, because there was an asterisk after Hamagulake. But Kome means Reich, and Hamaguda means clams. But I do believe that's it for this one, so we'll move on to our last one from the one, the only, Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. Same to you, my dude. Aim to you."
Hey, just as all things should be. Sorry, slight burp there. All right, that brings us to the end of the bag mail. Sorry, I was just running through my head of is there any other synonyms for mailbag I can say? No, they're all terrible. Skip it. That means it's free talk time. And
free
I'm sure
time.
all y'all want to hear about new servant teams. I called this one the new servant spinny, because last time it was the shimmy, this is the spinny. So, hey, we got another new 3-star. That's great. They're permanent. That's cool. Love this. And I do think I kind of agree. I think Theseus works as a 3-star servant, especially if Jason is a 1-star. Though we discussed at length last episode about how Jason's power level kind of works out. He's just kind of a normal guy. Theseus is a little punchier than that, but also isn't that extraordinary. So as a servant in his class and slot, he's got fairly high attack but lower HP. I think he might have the lowest HP out of any 3-star saber. And not quite the highest attack, but he's balanced out there. He's got a quick arts, buster deck, very typical for sabers, so we're going back to the old well. Good hit counts and average NP gain. He's 0.55 and has 3 hits on most things, so should be perfectly serviceable. He's got a single target arts NP. It gives him a 50% damage buff versus Demonic Beast for 1 turn first. It itself also does bonus damage, 150% bonus damage to giant enemies, and it just straight up generates 20 stars. Overcharge increases crit damage for 3 turns. Technically, by the way, this activates first, even though it doesn't have to, but it's just funny. But I believe the starting percentage is... Oh, bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. Also, I was wrong. My instinct was to say it was probably 30%. No. So this is a 3-star unit, so you just got to keep rolling the FP to get your max copies. And his overcharge bonus for his critical damage for 3 turns is 50 to 100% at max overcharge. So that's pretty spiced. You will actually be able to hit those overcharge numbers. So skills, pretty straightforward. Skill 1 is a 20 to 30% arts up on self for 3 turns, and also he generates 5 to 10 stars per turn for 3, and is a 10 to 20% battery. Pretty normal stuff. Second skill is a 5 to 15 stars drop and gives him a free turn of a Star Absorb up and 30 to 50% crit damage up on arts cards exactly for those 3 turns. Also, Sabers, I believe, are upper middle of the pack when it comes to star weight, so that Star Absorption is already pretty good, so you've got a 3-turn buff. And I should point out that specifically Star Absorption on arts cards. So arts cards crit more and are more likely to get the stars. Final skill gives himself a 20 to 30% attack up for 3 turns. It reduces the targeted enemy's attack by 10 to 20%, and is another 5 to 15 star bomb. That's right. When you pop this guy's 2 skills, you get 30 stars. Plus, you get 10 stars per turn for 3. So depending on when you timed these skills, you may be looking at him generating, 40 stars all on his own, just from skills. And his NP deals another 20. Passives are just Magic Resistance A and Writing B. So yeah, Theseus is probably pretty good. He's got a single target NP with basically double trait damage. He's got, an attack up and arts up. And he's got some crazy crit potential in the back pocket. His personal buffs are kind of tame, except for just how many stars he can generate purely off skills. Though obviously with one quick card that is kind of important. So he has 2 busters. Let's do a little bit of the star gen. But in general, his kit looks like it's going to flow really well into NP, arts crit, rinse, repeat. And you will have a selection of traits you can go there. All this in a budget unit. So that's, going to be pretty fun. And in general, it does kind of seem like they've, done a decent amount of work. You may be wondering, how on earth could they make a Theseus, who is a nice guy when he has smote our dear boy Asterios? Well, we do clarify that historically Asterios did eat people, and that was probably wrong. But was it his fault? Question mark. Even Theseus has to think about these things. Sadly, I don't think there are any big boat references tucked away in there. Sag. But, I think I mentioned earlier, he does acknowledge Medea in his lines. He has lines for Asterios. He has a line for Eurale, which he's like, oh, I'm glad Asterios is making some friends. I think he's got some lines for all the Argonauts and stuff. So, yeah, it's a whole process. I wouldn't say he's exactly as much of, just normal men, innocent men, as, Jason, but, he's definitely in that stripe of, he's just a guy, okay? He was praised as a hero. He did some stuff. Now that he has, perfect hindsight, he's kind of was everything I did heroic? Food for thought. Questions for later. And I guess we'll be seeing, if there is any more servants to come out of this. But, for now, we appreciate some extra 3 stars in the mix. I do believe that does mean there have been several 3 stars this year. So keep that one in mind. Oh, hey, and I believe we've got our answer for why Zenjubo's gender identity is unknown. Remember our spider friend? I don't remember that exactly off my head. Apparently to go undercover after the failed assassination of Nobunaga, they asked Spider Friend to disguise them, and this apparently involved a full-body sex change.
Oh, damn.
The power of Karakuri is strong.
Yeah.
But yes, we're doing a lot of interesting writing things these days. I'll be glad to read more into those characters and see them in story, I presume, in the, Castle of Day and Night in a couple of years. And I'm sure we'll keep our eyes out for, many new things. But I do believe that would mean it's a good time to move on to talking about Fanservant Friday, because it is Friday and it is a fanservant. So I had a spooky theme going on last time, and it resulted in a tie, but as always, I default to Lucky Breaks ties when FSF has a tie, and of course, he picked the Japanese one. You know what's up. Why are you even here? So, Takeyashi Hime is our selection, classed as a caster. So to give you guys a rundown on this one, this is a legend, a kind of historical fiction. There is actually a Princess Takayasha, who was the daughter of the warlord Taira no Masakado, who is well known because he did attempt to raise a uprising against the capital. So he rebelled against the central government, and it is believed specifically that Masakado had the big grudge energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He formed an unreal, an angry spirit. So to put his spirit to rest, they technically deified him after. So he is the deity of several shrines, including Kanda Shrine. So he, was promoted to being a kami in order to appease his spirit. So there's some interesting back and forth gribbles there. But so, like I said, this is a urban legend that comes from a historical source, but it's probably the most famous from the image I have just uploaded to our patrons. This is a specific triptych, an ukiyo-e painting, done by Utagawa Kuniyoshi. I believe, yes, this one is from, dated to 1844. So several, centuries after this would have happened. Yes, Taira Masakado was said to have died in the year 940. That's correct. There is no 1 before that number. So almost a century before this triptych was painted. But this painting is known by a couple of names. The most common one, which is kind of like what influenced a lot of the stuff I did for this fan servant design, is known as Takayasha the Witch and the Skeleton Spectre. Yeah. But is also sometimes called Mitsukuni defying the Skeleton Spectre, invoked by Princess Takayasha. So it name checks Takayasha Hime, the hero Mitsukuni, and also the Skeleton Spectre. What's the Skeleton Spectre, you ask? That's the Gasha Dokuro, which literally means rattling skeleton.
And a big boy.
Which is the big fucking skelly man you've probably seen in many Japanese things. FromSoft loves giant skeletons. Actually, is there... I assume there has to straight up be a Gasha Dokuro somewhere in fucking Sekiro. I forgot the name for a second.
I don't know about Sekiro, but I do know there's one in Neo, specifically the first one.
I would also say for sure Neo has to have done it in one of the 2 games there. Like, big skelly mans, recurring theme, very scary stuff. So basically the triptych, the ukiyo-e, if you don't know, shows an image of Takayasha with a hand scroll reciting a spell. She summons a giant skeleton, and Mitsukuni is like, "Nah, fam." I like this description, by the way. It says, on the image, the princess recites a spell written on a hand scroll summoning a giant skeleton. It rears out of a black void, because the artist didn't draw a background, crashing its way through the tattered palace, bind with its bony fingers to menace Mitsukuni and his companion. Oh, and if you want to see this, this is apparently currently housed in the Honolulu Museum of Art.
Oh, sick. Just have to cross an ocean, or at least half of one.
Yeah, only 50% of ocean. But yeah, so basically, the historical idea is that after Masakado was executed and the rebellion put down, his daughter kept living in their manor house, their rural estate, as a recluse, and naturally the ancients would go, "Oh, a woman living alone? Clearly a witch."
Yeah.
Not that I'm not going to say that, like, I'm not going to assume anything about, what her psychology would have been, but Masakado he had a little bit of an ego, that he was trying to declare himself the new Shinteno.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, there's some stuff going on back there. But she became, like I said, a, famous legend in her own right. The basic vibe is that, the rebellion is quelled, she goes back to the manor and starts, studying forbidden arts, studies a scroll. She is specifically associated, for some reason, I'm not entirely sure etymologically, but she is said to have studied the art of frog-related magic, specifically. So, she has the power to bind and summon frogs and frog spirits. Again, not exactly sure what the etymology is there. But
might have to do with mountain witches.
Yes. She also is said to have, started performing, dark rituals at shrines, and specifically bonded with the Aramitama, the vengeful spirit of a shrine, which granted her, knowledge of Onmyodo and other powers. This is when she became known as Takayasha Hime. But, the urban legends are like, summoning armies of yokai. I don't think the Night Parade is explicitly mentioned, but probably that kind of stuff.
That was my first thought.
Yeah. Oh, actually, also, I think I might get it. Because, the word for frog is kaeru, which also is the verb to return. That could be it. Because, like, the idea is that Masakado's gonna come back and his daughter's got this magic. We make a joke about him returning. But yeah, she starts summoning demons, whipping up a furious one. Oh, there's the Gasha Dokuro. straight out of the ink painting. And so Mitsukuni, who I mentioned earlier, he is a warrior who is knowledgeable about Onmyodo. He's heard of Takahashi Hime. He goes to Soma Castle. She tries to, disguise herself, lure him in, but he tells her about her father's violent death, and so she gets really mad. She flees from him, tries to attack him with an army of skeletons, and then she summons the Gashidokuro, goes on to battle riding a giant toad, but she is defeated because, I don't know, I guess Mitsukuni's just that good. But so, servant stuff. Caster, for a lot of the mystic arts we've assumed here. Alignment, neutral, evil. She is, using dark magic and trying to overthrow the government. Not a great look.
Nope.
Stats, pretty normal stat spread for a caster. Strength, E. Endurance, D. Agility, C. She's got some writing and stuff in there, probably. Magic power, A. Luck, C. Middle of the road kind of a thing. Because it does kind of seem like she's stumbled into some stuff, but also some other things, not so lucky. NP, B. Class skills, territory creation, A+. This is the kind of rank where, not only do you create a workshop, but you can create a temple, considering that she is supposed to have, taken over a shrine and, bonded with the Aramitama and, taken over a castle. Very high territory creation seems appropriate. Item creation, only D, normal low ranks. There may be some myths where she created, some charms or spell scrolls herself, but it's not a thing she's known for. So for personal skills, we've got Divinity D. I'm going to be like, oh, Divinity D? Really? Yes. Because fate works on this weird retroactive continuity thing, strictly speaking, her father was deified. He is the kami of some shrines. So she is the child of a divine spirit, even if he was deified later. So, she gets a very, very low level of divinity applied because technically she is related to a divine spirit and would have some little investment of authority. We've got familiar frog, talking about that Kaeru magic. Ability to create bonds with familiars and control them from afar. She is said to have attained a scroll of frog magic from Mountain Sorcerer, so she can, summon and control frogs with magecraft, using a giant frog as a mount. So, probably, if this was a servant in FGO, expect lots of frogs in the animations. Expect to hear a lot of ghetto. Possibly even have her on the back of a giant frog in the sprites.
I demand she have frog pajamas.
That would be a very funny ascension, yes. I'm trying to remember. I think I may have gotten this idea because I don't recall, but I think at some point among Tamamo's many pen pal circle, including, our favorites like Kiyohime and Osakawa Hime, I do believe Takahashi Hime has also been mentioned before.
I don't remember that, but
I think her name might have been thrown out there. I feel like most, spooky, slightly yokai women have been mentioned by Tamamo at some point. Now, she definitely leaves home, but she also always returns home. Now that I've realized the Kaeru pun, I'm gonna probably make a lot of return jokes. What this skill would actually do in FGO, I'm not entirely sure. Probably at least one effect would be a battery. I believe that's what they did for Semiramis and her familiar's doves. It's just a way for her to get more magic energy. Though it could also be different and set up some other stuff. Maybe give you a poison or a curse. I don't know. Because did also throw in there rapid sutra chanting C, the ability to perform incantations at high speed via reciting sutras. Technically, before she was known as Takayasha Hime, she was known as Sasaki Hime, and was, according to myths, supposed to be a nun who studied Buddhist scriptures. But obviously it's, reduced to a rank C because she became a witch. So the ability would go down, but she'd still have this one. This is usually treated as a basic bitch battery, but should be a skill in there. And then also, continuing that line, the nun to witch pipeline, Witchcraft B, also known as Curse B, in some translations, Tamamo's classic NP charge down move, represents a practitioner of Western and Eastern witchcraft, so Takayashi is supposed to retain the power of Onmyodo by studying scrolls from the sorcerer Nikushisen, and by performing late-night rituals to awaken the Aramitama. And, she's got the power to summon and bind yokai, cause large-scale misfortunes and disasters. The usual charge down stuff applies. And the big one you're all expecting, her noble phantasm would of course be, the name I have given is Witch and the Gashadokuro, the skeleton spectre invoked by Princess Takayasha, B+, anti-army. Because this is probably the most famous thing many people these days remember about her, and it is a hella iconic painting. Even if you don't know it because, you're watching at home just on the audio version or the YouTube version with the insert, and, you can't see it, if you think of think Japanese giant skeleton painting, you've probably seen this somewhere. and myths and legends about the Gashadokoro are usually pretty big. It is usually considered to be a pretty strong, curse or evil spirit. So her most famous legend, it's immortalized by the Kuniyoshi print. After obtaining mystical powers, she took the name Takayashi Hime, returned to Soma Castle, which, by the way, that's Soma Castle in Shimosa Province. So, always been known as a little bit of a spook spot. She tried to build an army of yokai and retainers to overthrow the emperor. She was invested by Mitsukuni, and so when she was enraged, she, summoned a giant fucking Gashadokuro, so she can, use her noble phantasm in a minor way to summon forth, armies of skeleton bushi, pretty similar to, like, how most casters have access to, Dragonbone warriors and that kind of stuff. But when she unleashes its true name, the skeletons will Voltron their ass up into a giant fuck you skeleton, which is as tall as castles. Again, recall that this legend is that, and the painting is, the skeleton, rears out of the darkness and rips the roof off the castle. Is just like, hey, sup. Tall as castles, said to be invincible to physical harm, but it is repelled by Shinto charms, and it just scoops up humans in its bony limbs and bites off their heads. It is still, fightable by strong heroes, but it's a giant fucking skeleton, man. I call it anti-army because I think it would have, high power, so probably AoE. It could be Buster. That could be funny. Probably have a, curse everybody. And I'm just, the NP animation would just be the triptych ukiyo-e shot, The skeleton just fucking leans out of the frame and, probably, like, slashes with its bony fingers or brings both fists down in a giant slam. Give everybody the curse. Big deal. Animations, like I said, probably have a lot of fun frog-related stuff. There are usually pictures of her, herself wielding a katana or naginata, so she could have an actual weapon. And the use of hand scrolls is also pretty important in there, so probably some actual, like, drawing and reading from a scroll type thing. Personality-wise, there's probably a lot of ways fate could take this. I imagine that, she would probably be, pretty classically witchy. She's not a nice lady, but she is also a princess, Maybe a little bit of the classic, mix your classic witch with your classic evil noblewoman. Possibly some slight daddy issues. You can interpolate that multiple ways. Like, oh shit, my dad was deified. What am I going to do now? But I thought about this earlier as I was talking about the frog connection, and yes, I agree absolutely that there should be at least one ascension that is, frog style Kigurumi. Just, the big eyes on top is like little ears poking out of the mouth. You know the one, Chad. You know those vibes. And yeah, this is another one of those cases of like, classic Japanese folklore that I'm sure everybody on the Fate team is aware of. That I'm actually a little surprised they haven't pulled the trigger on. I do think, like I said, I don't remember if it was specifically a conversation from Tamamo, but I am pretty sure her name has been dropped in FGO before as like a one-off. Sometimes we take those a little too seriously. But, keep your eyes out. And the people in the patron chat can also see. That's her with the scroll on the far left of the triptych. So, one ascension should probably be a, more classic, high class, kimono and robes type thing. Get your classics in there. I'm sensing, just instinctively, especially if you also, gave her an ascension where she dressed like a Buddhist nun, probably some very funny interactions with Kiara of all people. Because, like, I bet that, either Takayashi would be like, oh shit, it's a legit nun, I gotta get out of here. Which is funny because Kiara is absolutely, the least legit nun we know. Or it could be funny in that, like, Takayashi would, think like, oh hey, a friend. And then be like, no fuck, get me out of here. This girl's crazy. She wants to pretend to be a mermaid. That's weird. But yes, that is Fan 7 Friday. Technically for October. I don't know what theme November will have, but I will try and get the poll up while I'm working on the edit of this. And so that brings to an end the free talk, which means it's time for something resembling the what's up. As I'm stroking my chin. Obviously, I'm sure the good listeners can tell. Lucky you're a little low energy today.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to talk about Nikkei, I know that's been very exciting this week. Now's probably a good time. If you want to get in there.
It has been a good time. We are in... Nikkei is celebrating its 1-year anniversary of this week. Kicked off with a live stream. Oh, geez, when was that?
Was it Wednesday night? I don't remember. It was not this Wednesday.
It was
a while ago.
It was only a couple days ago. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the exact dates. But it was actually a pretty big deal. they had 2 live streams, one for English, one in JP, and they were both different actually. The one in Japan had a Mafia and some of the VAs, at the Red Tower in Tokyo doing a full event, while over in EN we had a video with that used rigged models. They both covered a lot of the same content, but each had its own individual flavor. We have finally reached the point where we can get more story and more characters, and people are slightly losing their mind right now. But with how strong they went into Anniversary, we feel pretty good about it. Unfortunately, Lucky's luck with the whole thing has been abysmal. I have spent like $300 on Nikkei in the past few days, getting the new unit Red Hood. Well, specifically, I had to get 4 copies of Red Hood to feel comfortable, I want to say. And Nikkei, basically getting more copies of a unit just makes them stronger. There's nothing necessarily locked. Oh, no, that's a lie. There is something locked. But it's cosmetic. But you can get up to 10 copies of like an SSR and lay them on top of them. Wait, no, it's not 10. It's because you get the first one, then you get 3, and then you can get another 9, I believe. So that's 12. But I've been saving up for this since September, when the Nier collab happened, and I had a pretty good bank. Luck was abysmal. It took me, oh god, what was it? Oh, it took me 310 pulls before I got the rate up. Before I got a fit rate up on draw. Luckily, Nikkei does have a pretty simple pity system. It's simply do 200 premium rolls and you just pull them out of the pool, and that's what I did. I had to do some more rolling to get the other 3 copies I got, but I got a full an MLB Max Limit Broken Red Hood, and I'm excited. I'm also trying to push through these new story chapters. I got through, what was it? I got through 25 pretty easy, but even with the new reduced difficulty that it did, because the game is hard, yes. I can still only, I can only push through to like halfway through 26. And it's getting to me because I think as me and many other Nikkei players will attest to, while the game is full on about the tits and ass, they do not actually neglect the storytelling. It will put you on the floor. Although I do need to regularly tell people that despite Nikkei being like full of tits and ass, they do not skimp on male design at all. Let me pull up the boy. Let me pull up the lad.
Yeah, I believe this came up, I want to say on the 14th stream.
Yeah, no, I had to. I had to.
We were fucking around at a different time, but yeah, it was Wednesday. Okay, thanks for saying.
Yeah, like look at this legend.
And I believe it was Loth who remembered the DBZA quote. Oh my god, you could grind meat on those.
Yes. I appreciate everyone putting the gay panic on this picture of Anderson. But yes. Actually made me think. I was like, I think if Shift Up was to do like a male version of Nikkei or something with just a bunch of male designs on, I think it'd actually do pretty well, honestly.
Yeah, there are games like that are successful. I believe Token Rambu still does pretty well.
Oh yeah, I believe Twisted Wonderland does as well. It does pretty good as well. Yeah. So, like,
I know about Twisted Wonderland because
Yuasakawa.
Yeah, Yuasakawa Medusa's voice actress is very, very in it. I don't know if she's like a brand ambassador or she just really likes it a lot, so she talks about it for free. But yes, no, it's all over her Twitter.
All over. Speaking of, though, we still haven't heard anything about Shift Up about Project Eve or a Stellar Blade recently, and I'm getting slightly upset about that.
Yeah, there are a few things that are going on. We may discuss later about how things do not seem to be necessarily going the greatest in the house of Bungie.
Well, yeah. I don't think I necessarily have anything else to talk about in Nikkei. If people ever want to, like I said, it's just good. It's exciting. I could talk more about it, but unfortunately, we've had the I have the unfortunate problem that in our community, I'm one of the people who is the furthest in story, which is usually odd. which is usually odd. Usually I'm behind, but due to me, I'm pretty sure I have not actually missed a day of Nikkei since starting. They did the very fun thing of letting you have an annual report telling me like how many battles you did, how many battles you lost, how many recruitments you did. And while I'm not like the highest in everything, it's like there's the like some stare points like, yes, no, I have done a lot. So it's just one of those things.
I can definitely understand then the like. That's like when we do like story reviews for FGO, big long segments, and that's like, okay, well, I don't want to be too far ahead because then we can't talk about shit.
Yeah.
The other one has to catch up because it's like you got to hold it in, which is hard. We do have though a perfectly functional Nikkei zone in our Discord that you can go to. So if you want to talk about it, you got space.
Most people find it. I feel, and the place usually ends. Usually, a lot of times it says yelling at something, but like, look at this horny shit, or look at this sad shit, or just other things. We have fun there.
Yes, the two moods, horny, sag.
That really is Nikkei. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, so talking a little bit about Shift Up them as kind of a link there. Yeah, there hasn't been any real news about Project Eve. A lot of people are kind of like maybe not a lot of people, but I think a decent amount of people, both who are fans of Shift Up and are fans of PlayStation, are kind of like, sitting there, hands clutched, like, oh, some news, sir? And that has not been forthcoming.
No, we've gone several State of Play, Tokyo Game Show, Summer's Games Fest. I think the current hope is this year's Game Awards. When is that actually?
Let me see what the week is. I think they know it already. It's 2023, because I don't believe we have streaming live December 7th.
7th, so we are a month and a few days.
Yeah. That is going to be a big cluster clunk.
I am pretty sure they are going to put up chain link goddamn fences on that stage.
Oh, by the way, just to also let everybody know, this will be the 10th year of the Game Awards.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, Game of the Year will be a fucking slaughterhouse, so it will be best performance. Like, it'll be a knockdown dragout. Best music will also probably be an absolute fucking slap show. Obviously, I want 16 to win that one, but like, so this goes very well into the Bungie discussion, right? This year has been a very powerful year for video game releases. Video games that have come out this year, there have been a lot of really, really good ones. Some of them I haven't played myself, but I know are good. Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, big, seminal gaming moment. Hi-Fi Rush was very well received early this year, and obviously, there are a bevy of other strong games. Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, Tears of the Kingdom. I also haven't played Super Mario Wonder, but I don't think that anybody's calling that one a Game of the Year contender, but fucking, we made a brand new Mario game and it's really good. Also, shouldn't shock anybody, but, strong contender. They're fucking doing I believe, is the re-release of Super Mario RPG out yet, or?
Not yet.
Okay,
soon.
It's very soon. Yes. I hope Sea of Stars doesn't get snubbed.
It better not get snubbed.
It better at least get some noms.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back and played it yet. I'm very unfocusedly playing Cyberpunk. And also I've been... Shocking, I know that All Saints Wake and the Fall Guys collab would get me back into 14, but I have been logging into 14 a lot, not just to do Fall Guys. I've been doing other stuff too, but I may talk about that a little later. But yeah, like, Sea of Stars, great game. Armored Core 6, of course, highly anticipated. I think they may have won a most hyped, award at some point. Like, just so many great bangers. But also, we've had a lot of really bad dust-ups, despite the fact that a lot of, like, of these really big landmark, flagship games have come out. A lot of them have come out, I think, if you allow me to speculate, after years of enjoying video games, I suspect that some of these games are coming out after a little bit too long in the dev cycle and costing just a little bit too much money and not necessarily making all that money back right away, because we are seeing a lot of cases of game studios experiencing shrinkage, big and small. I believe CDPR had some layoffs, and by now that's quite the same, but you do get Cyberpunk 2.0 and, Phantom Liberty this year, I suspect that Cyberpunk will probably be nominated for, like, best, game support or ongoing game this year as well.
I think Phantom Liberty by itself might get some nominations. I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, Phantom Liberty is, like I said, I have not been doing my due diligence. I need to get back into it. But from what it seems like Phantom Liberty is great. And, like, it's not perfect. There's still some bug stuff. Lucky, have you gotten vehicle contracts yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I did finally get them.
I think I was going to mention the other day that I did hear that it's technically there are multiple places where the first one can spawn, but okay, you got one. That's good. But there were several people with this problem when I looked it up, and apparently the only advice up until I think the most recent patch was uninstall and reinstall your game.
Oh my god.
Which I'm like, ooh, no, not great. But, like, otherwise, gameplay additions, model addition, like systems, the system underlying gameplay, all the new stuff, like new weapons and things are very great. The new characters and story beats are great. The new music, chef's kiss, like, top to bottom, Phantom Liberty, really good. But there have been, big closures. Volition is just gone, toast,
like, they tried. They honestly
tried really hard. And I think Saints Row had some of the gumption, but, the game was a little undercooked.
It was.
Did it deserve, like, all the hate it got? No.
No.
But Lucky and I, you were also the guy. We also went to bat for Cyberpunk, which didn't deserve quite as much unction as it got, even though it was also quite notably undercooked.
Yeah.
Undercooked games can be okay if there's heart and support in it, and there's a good core idea. Like, I don't know if anybody's like going to bat for Redfall anymore after it came out. That's another big like undercooked flop. Forsaken, I would argue, is arguably probably a flop. The separate studio of Studio Luminous got rolled back into Square Enix afterward, but they did launch a DLC, so, it's out there. I don't think Square's doing a lot of shrinking, but they did report, some projected losses. We talked about this several weeks ago on a What's Up, I believe, that headlines were misconstruing it, as, like, 16's fault, when it was more like, yeah, not even Final Fantasy 16 could save them from, pouring money into Forspoken and the fact that their Avengers live service game just did not fucking work. Hell, Avengers has done probably, like, collateral damage on Marvel games, period. Like, I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel's Midnight Suns both definitely underperformed in terms of sales because people were like, is this going to be another Avengers situation? The answer is no. I haven't ever played Midnight Suns, but people liked it, and I like Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of fear there, a little bit of trepidation, Obviously, I don't think Square's in any danger because, they've... once again, Square's going to have a fucking amazing front half of next year. They're going to release Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, in Q1, and we are on track for Dawn Trail to come out in summer. So that's going to, drive up a lot of profits and generate probably a lot of ongoing profits because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to renew their 14 subs for a few months in addition to, buying the new X-Pack. So, like,
also, I do want to say with
Square. Go ahead.
I also want to say with Square releases a lot of games that probably does not perform well. Like fucking like they release a lot of small titles like Harvestella. I'm pretty sure almost no one plays Harvestella. I bought Harvestella. I love Harvestella. I do not think there's like a dedicated fucking group, screaming about it. Diofield Chronicles, like another game that came out by Square Enix. Shoots. Was there any other ones like off the top? Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy.
But like I said, those...
Was Octopath 2 this year?
I think it was last year, but Octopath Tower 2, I believe, was actually a great success, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, no. But it, that started as kind of like the first Octopath started as kind of like a smaller side game, and then people were like, holy shit, a classic RPG. I'll buy this for once.
But, like... Even if they're not like huge failures or flops, Square Enix does do a lot of lower end titles, do not bring in the big bucks, and they'll probably still come in at a loss.
Yeah, some of them might be at a loss, some of them might only break even, but I feel like that's part of Square's strategy is they seem like a studio who is about the back catalog, right? For lack of a better word. Like, I don't know if they had to release those pixel remasters of the first 6 Final Fantasy games. I don't know how much money it cost them. I don't know how much money it made them. But they're available now. And that's the kind of thing that you're going to get some gamers sometime. People are going to be like on a Steam sale or on a PlayStation sale or something, and they're going to be minding their business, and they're going to be like, oh, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Oh, hey, Final Fantasy 1. I never played the original Final Fantasy. Let me try that out. That kind of stuff. Oh, fuck, Jedi Survivor came out this year, too. Jesus. Ugh. I feel like every time I think of a new, try to remember a game that came out. How did Dead Island 2 score, critically? I think the game functioned pretty well.
It functioned. It did not do overly well, though.
Well, I think they got a DLC planned or something, so it's all right. Sorry, hold on. Sneeze struggle. Okay, got it. And we have to acknowledge that Hogwarts Legacy did come out this year. People did buy it. I don't want to acknowledge much more than that because it seems like just that game has a mind poison effect. It is so ingrained in discourse as a concept that just mentioning it can summon the discourse. So, but that's the thing that happened, There's so much other stuff. I mean, there have been some flops, too. Like I said, we mentioned, Forspoken, mentioned some other stuff going on there. There was fucking Gollum, Lord of the Rings Gollum, terrible game.
Yep.
Everybody's favorite, weird trash game that, King Kong game that came out, a week ago. Which is, got, PNGs in its cutscenes and stuff. There's weird stuff, okay? It's weird, but, like I said, there have been big shrinkifies. There's been stuff being smaller. Some, releases have been rough. I know Payday 3 has been going through a tough time despite being pretty well anticipated. There's a few more out there. Scroll. Oh, shit, Web of the Weird came out? That just fucking missed me. Hellboy's Web of the Weird, specifically. Damn, I gotta double check how that one went. And I don't buy into a lot of the weird discourse stuff going on. I've talked about how some of the conversation around Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is just insane. A lot of people have really tried to fucking nitpick Spider-Man 2. Possibly positively, nitpicking titles is there's a lot of conversations about Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which is due to come out in about a week.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that recently.
The specific term that is trending on Twitter right now and has been all day is $70 DLC. Basically, the idea that this version of Modern Warfare 3 is not separate enough from the Modern Warfare 2 they just released. It has a really short campaign that involves a lot of battle royale maps, basically, and just it does not seem worth the price tag. So we may be seeing the COD burnout set in again, So there's definitely some weird stuff there. Ooh, Talos Prince 2 came out as well. Oh, that's really good. I'll have to check that out. But there's been some rumblings. I do believe that it is the BlizzCon. That's probably why the COD news is coming out. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Bungie thing. That's kind of leading up to that, talking about that. That's the latest thing of that's been a pretty big moment. And it's been kind of interesting to see that discourse evolve. So Bungie Studios, who was acquired by entered into acquisition parent company partnership with Sony earlier this year, late last year, recently. It's been a little bit, but it's not ancient news either. They conducted a layoff of about 100 people, I believe, is the stat that's being reported.
Oof.
Something I think it was supposed to be 8% of their workforce. And this was, unfortunately, a top-to-bottom style layoffs. Several well-known and beloved, concept artists and marketing artists were laid off. Michael Silvestri, the composer for Destiny, was let go. I think he changed his LinkedIn or Twitter profile to Gone Fishin'.
Yeah.
This one kind of very rapidly evolved from when the news broke. Basically, it all kind of came out at once. So Bungie was doing these big layoffs, and then as that kind of discussion got in there, a lot of people the first day were like, "Oh my God, Sony! I can't believe you would slash and burn Bungie like this." I heard the stat reported that apparently about a third of the acquisition money, the $3 billion they paid to acquire Bungie, about $1 billion of that was set aside for staff retention. So a lot of people are like, what happened to all that? Well, it turns out Sony is not directly responsible. There may still be that somebody at Daddy Sony may have said, hey, you guys need to cut some costs. But the directive for layoffs came internally from Bungie, and it was kind of like top to bottom, and it was very uneven. Some people got meetings, other people just got an email, Very bad all around. But the big thing is that they apparently missed their targeted profits for this, quarter or section by about 45%. Almost, underperforming by half. That's a big, scary number. That doesn't sound great. So that, I think, is kind of like caused this alarm. So they're pushing what's supposed to be the last expansion of Destiny 2, the final shape, to 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it looks like the marathon game is going to be pushed until 2025. Like, big push. It did come out that they did do some like early alpha build shopping around to like creatives and influencers and types, and it was not a very positive response. Some people have tried to spin that as just like game fundamentally bad, but more it just seems like it's still in way too early a state. Like, they asked the entire group, like, hey, would you, if this game came out tomorrow, would you play it? Nobody raised their hand, allegedly. But that's because it was still in a super, like, pre-alpha phase, right? Like, it makes sense you wouldn't buy this game if it came out tomorrow if it's still in, like, such an early phase. So, probably the push is needed. But it's always, sad to hear about all these people kind of being cut, a lot of them, great long-term positions. Hopefully they can, find a place to land, and maybe there are some studios who are doing well and expanding. But it seems like there are a lot of these, weird little cuts going on. So, I don't know. It kind of makes me wonder, like, we've been trying to do a lot of, bigger, badder, especially for, Sony and Microsoft, and much more so Microsoft, I would say, than Sony. There have been a lot of heavy money acquisitions flopping around, right?
Right.
Are we looking at maybe a shrinkage soon? And, it's not all doom and gloom. I believe Nintendo seems like they're doing fine and are on track to release a Switch 2 next year. That seems to be the trend. Obviously, Nintendo has not officially announced anything, but like the court documents from the Blizz Activision acquisition and other independent investigations is basically like, yeah, third parties know they're trying to workshop a Switch 2 for next year, a follow up to the Switch console. So like it's like I said, I like Bungie's games. I like Destiny and Destiny 2. Unfortunately, Destiny 2 suffers from a problem that lots of modern games have, which is it's too goddamn big. I believe earlier this year they made the Destiny 2 has, I believe, always been free to play, but they made the Witch Queen expansion up to that one free to play. That was just before Fallen Light, their latest one. I thought about trying to get back in and catch up and see if I liked it. I looked at the like download size for normal Destiny 2 before I even got to the DLCs, and I was just like, oh, I don't got room for this on my PS5. I got like 4 other games I can fit for this size I want to play. So yeah, it's one of those rough things that's like hell, I think it was like 100 gigs to reinstall. I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 14 only takes up like 50 on my PS5. Like, it's still a sizable game, but it's not the most sizable, and that thing's given me, 550 hours of entertainment. So yeah, it's a lot of people, including hopefully slightly embarrassed about it. Jeff Keighley was like, what an amazing year for games, and somebody was like, should you be saying that when, like, every week we're hearing about a studio closing or layoffs or cutbacks? And it's like, yeah, it kind of is that kind of feel, right? Because there's a lot of good product being made.
I mean, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, that's how it is every year, though. Like, I don't like every year, I feel like like, something amazing happens, something good happens, something average happens, something bad happens, and something fucking horrible happens. In various numbers and whatnot, but that's what happens every year. I'm like, heaven forbid, but I cannot remember like the bad things of last year, but they were there. Hecking, oh god, I'm trying to think. Forgive me, my memory is horrible, so I'm trying to remember the flops of last year.
Right. Well, I mean, I can look
hard.
at movies because I typed in the phrase "worst of 2022" and all the results are the shittiest movies of 2022.
Let me type in games of 2022.
Black Adam happened last year. That seemed like that was a big flopper. Oh, what was Slamma-Jamie? Because there were like you said, there was good shit. Edge Runners was 2022, very good time, and we've got entertainment products rolling out, but also there were some shit ones. And I mean, gaming always has this kind of like up and down. Like we ask ourselves, will Skull and Bones ever actually fucking come out? The answer is probably it will come out. Otherwise, I think Ubisoft will have to fight the entire Singaporean government one-on-one. But yeah, like there's a lot of these wild ups and downs. So I mean, like if you think about it, right? Like I think 2024 is going to be the same because we've already announced an amazing slate of games and updates for the next year. Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This may be when the Final Fantasy 16 story DLC comes out. I suspect if you are one of those people eagerly waiting for news about, I forget the name of the Elden Ring DLC, but Shadows of the Erdtree. Anyway, that was announced like a year ago at a Game Awards. I bet there'll be a date at this year's Game Awards because FromSoft loves the Game Awards because the Game Awards keeps giving them awards. I don't know, that's a chicken and egg thing. But yes, Legendary brought it up. I was going to get to that. Persona 3, Reloaded is coming out. Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth, Grand Blue Relink is gonna be looking pretty good. Like, already a very solid block of video games for 2024. And this is just like Q1 shit, right?
Right.
We've still got Loosey Goosey, Helldivers 2. And I mean, we also may still get some flops. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was pushed to February, so that might suck. But Unicorn Overload's gonna come out. That's looking pretty hot. Let me scroll down all the stuff that's supposed to be there. So we got a lot of stuff that's got unknown dates. Oh, I should also mention reviews I believe are coming in for the RoboCop game. Shockingly positive. The general impressions from like footage and demos is that like, yeah, no, if you want to play a fucking RoboCop game, this is it. It does it very well.
That's what I was hoping for.
The way I've heard the gameplay described is it's kind of like it sounds like it's almost like a reverse of a boomer shooter. Like, as RoboCop, you are like a tank. You move very slowly, very deliberately, but you have very powerful shots, and like regular-ass guys just don't fucking bother you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, that sounds appropriate. That sounds pretty good. Oh, gee, yeah, we haven't heard of that one in a while. Star Wars Outlaws is supposed to come out next year.
It's not going to come out next year.
I ain't heard shit in a while. I also severely doubt that Bloodlines 2 will actually come out next year. I mean, I kind of hope it does, but I suspect it will not, because since I believe that the studio who had it got fucking, unbuilt, and they passed it to a new studio. But yeah, actually, I'm looking at this, and the schedule is still, like, pretty open. We'll probably see, a fuck ton of announcements at the Game Awards in about a month. Are there any other big announcement, like, venues in this upcoming month? I don't think so. Other than, like I said, I think BlizzCon is going on right now. They've announced a new WoW expansion, so get ready to flip that coin. 2 expansions ago, I believe, sucked, and the latest one they did, Dragonflight, was good enough to probably save WoW. I mean, WoW's one of those weird things where I don't know it. Like, WoW might have so much fucking inertia that even if it died, it would, zombie around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they've got those fucking classic players on the hook, too. They literally re-released their fucking MMO to go back in time. But, like, there was definitely, after how bad Shadowlands was, there was a mass exodus to, among, also just in general, Blizzard sucking ass. There was a mass exodus to Final Fantasy XIV, so, kind of packing some stuff in. Homestars is going to come out next year. Oh, I think I missed my chance to check out that beta. I am talking about Square Enix releasing, like, smaller games, right? Like, that is almost, Foamstars is almost assuredly some kind of spec contract for Sony, because it's not even coming out on PC. It is coming out exactly on PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, to be. Well, like I said, I know I've mentioned this before, but I am 110% sure that this is Sony's attempt to break into the multiplayer market against Xbox/PC.
Yeah.
Like,
and I would argue with the art style of Foamstars, probably Switch too. Like, there have been some ups and downs with Splatoon, but I believe that Splatoon 3 like did very well and is still like ongoing. It still has player retention, which is a very big deal. I definitely
think too, but on a personal level, I think they're trying to fight more against Xbox than they are Nintendo, I would say.
Oh yes, no, assuredly. It's they understand the different marketing complaints, and multiplayer-wise, Xbox has had kind of a mixed bag.
Like, the thing is, the more I think about it, I think someone's more likely to have a Nintendo Switch as their second console than they would the major other competitor. Like, I have no, like, I would probably never buy an Xbox in my life. I want, like, I guess I can say I'm a Sony fanboy. And so, I look at most Microsoft stuff and I just go, because, there's nothing there on there. But I see a Switch and I'm like, I'm going to need me some of that shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are numbers supporting that, if people usually have a second, like, one or two consoles, one of them is probably a Switch and the other one is probably either the PS5 or the Xbox. Or they're a PS5 and a PC, maybe. Probably.
And there are, as evidenced by the fact that in the year 2024, there will still be games coming out on it.
Yeah.
Plenty of people are still in the last gen, too. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of PS4s and the previous Xboxes out there as well. Xbox, I think, tried to fight that with the Series S, but I don't actually know if that did what they wanted. To kind of have, like, a halfway point.
Yeah.
In the generation. But yeah, like, I mean, and this has been a known factor, we've discussed before, but I think it was like 2 State of Plays ago. Yeah, it was a couple State of Plays ago. Sony had what was argued as a relatively unsuccessful State of Play because they showed a lot of concept trailers and announcements for games that don't even have release dates. Almost all of which were titles they were intending for multiplayer live service type games, That's what Marathon's supposed to be. Sony straight up said, hey, we bought Bungie not just because we want to, like, secure a line with Destiny 2, but also because we want Bungie's expertise on managing these live service games, having managed to run both Destiny and Destiny 2 and not fucking explode. And arguably, while the 8% is bad, if it was only 8% of their workforce, that's not yet an explosion. That is I'm thinking about, like, body proportions. What is that, a badly stubbed toe? Maybe a couple cracked ribs. Like, it's painful. It sucks. But I don't know if that's going to be, a done-inner. But, like, Sony has been trying to cook the multiplayer side for a while. And last year and earlier this year, they have definitely been making moves to get the studios that they need to make that work. I'm not going to say it's because they distrust their single-player studios. Though if I was Sony, honestly, I would be giving Naughty Dog a fucking side-eye because I don't know what the fuck's happening at Naughty Dog anymore. Were once such an amazingly beloved studio and still do have, like, such a list of bangers and well-selling games, but it's so weird to me, some of the projects they are working on, like remastering Last of Us 2, taking back over the Last of Us multiplayer game from the side studio who had it, and then not having any fucking news on that either, And allegedly, they're working on a Last of Us Part 3.
I mean, I'm not against The Last of Us Part 3.
I guess I'll have to see what they're planning on that one, but as y'all know, I have not played even the original Last of Us yet. I may try the Last of Us Part 1, the remaster they did of that, because it's my first time I experience it. That's a decent idea, but I have not a lot of long-term interest in the franchise because the general vibe I got out of people talking about Last of Us Part 2 is that it is kind of, like, emotionally manipulative to the player in a way I don't like. Like, they use a lot of the feelings you've built up over the first game to just fucking slam your ass in the second one, and I'm just like, nah, I don't pay to play that way, buddy.
Nah.
So, like, I'm not conceptually against a Part 3. It just feels like a bold move in this time. But, like, there are other studios, Guerrilla is presumably smacking away on, Horizon 3, where I'm sure they will unfortunately get fucking overshadowed by some other amazing generation-setting video game again. I guess, are we gonna see, a third Zelda game, the Switch 2 Zelda premiere? Who knows? But, I'm hearing, very light rumors. I probably should read more into it, but I'm hearing rumorification on the ground about, God of War Ragnarok DLC, that Santa Monica Studio may actually be planning on a little bit more there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting, but, that's a lot of Sony's studios are, they're known for working on these big cinematic single-player story games. Some people like to try and turn that into being derogatory. As a person who has played games like Uncharted, like God of War, both of the new God of Wars, no, those are video game-ass video games, y'all. Like, top to bottom, these games, while they do take their cinematic cues, like, they are games. They have game stuff in them. Game design-wise, God of War Ragnarok was fairly robust, and had quite a lot of interesting things you could do and quite a lot of different playstyles you could adapt to. And there's a lot of, action games out there. I know that 16's combat style wasn't as robust as we would have liked, but it was very well polished.
It was very good.
Like, it was simple, but it was a smooth running machine. And listen, there's just something, fundamentally gamer about Number Geek Big. Having, got the trophy for breaking that, 1 mil damage in stagger phase, like, nah, fuck it. Was it 1 mil? I think it was. I don't think
it was 1 mil, but it was still a
100,000. I don't remember. Whatever there's a digit roll up that's very big. It's been a while since I played. I know I need to go back to New Game Plus, but I think I'm waiting for like story DLC details. But fucking huge numbers. 100K. Yeah, that's the break. I'm like, which digit is that? Yeah. So like, nah, good shit, fun times. So like, no, these are video games. We video gaming, okay?
We gaming. We gamers.
But I would definitely say that I think Sony's had a little bit of weakness in the multiplayer era, especially obviously since it is a fact that their previous way they kind of leaned on was that they had a very special relationship with Activision and COD, right?
Yep.
Obviously, that is fucking going away. At minimum, Phil Spencer is not a liar, and COD is going to basically go to parity. There's no, like, early releases on PlayStation or on Xbox. Everything is happening all at the same time. Given that Phil Spencer is kind of a liar, we are entirely possibly looking at there will be exclusives or, like, early releases that are Xbox-facing. Though, they could also be PC-facing, Yeah, new IPs are expensive, and I don't necessarily know where, like, all the ownership is. I do believe there was just some discussion both from, Jim Ryan before he resigned, because that is another interesting thing about Sony, is that Jim Ryan has decided it is his time to go. He'll be retiring early next year, I believe. No new word on who's going to be stepping in. But there are also some discussions from other people at PlayStation about, like Sony is thinking, they're workshopping, bringing back some old franchises, which I am for, obviously. Jack. Also, don't forget Sly Cooper. But Jack. Wait, what if Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper teamed up? I'm sure somebody could make that work. But like that I think is like an era where third-party studios like Square Enix, like I would argue even Ubisoft, right? They have a very strong ability to go back and touch your nostalgia bones. And so does Xbox with some games, though they've sometimes struggled with some of those. But it's, nostalgia franchises and multiplayer. And unfortunately, I think their studio that used to be best positioned to do that, I don't know if they would be, because I would have said that would be Guerrilla. Because I fondly remember 2 out of 3 Killzone games I played. We don't talk about the last one. Or rather, don't get me started about that last one. But, they built a robust franchise. They unfortunately tried to build themselves as Halo killers, which was, a fucking curse back in the day. But I think there is potential. Robin, it's just having very fond memories of Killzone 2 and 3 on the PS3. Killzone Shadowfall is just not great. It's very clunky to play. They have, like, an actual really interesting construction of the plot of, like, a Cold War between the ISF and the Helgans, because they, like, after we super giga magic space nuked Helgast in Killzone 3, they, like, for some reason relocated to the planet from Killzone 1 that the Helgans invaded. So that was weird, but I guess it makes sense as, like, a war reparations thing. But there was, like, a weird, like, quarantine walls and, like, Cold War back and forth shit, all of which is wasted just because they didn't even give you any of the funny, cool guns. There was no nail gun, no lightning gun, none of that cool shit. I don't even think I got a flamethrower. Definitely didn't get my triple shotgun pistol. I don't even think they had, like, an exosuit segment or any of that shit. Like, it felt very, I don't know, like, watered down, right? Like, it just didn't have any of the cool stuff I remember from Killzone. It didn't even have decent mantling. Like, the game came out, like, release date for PS4, and it was just so blah, so normal. I don't even think it had multiplayer. Not that I think Killzone's multiplayer formula is particularly new or anything. They, did the Battlefield style, like, classes, but, it existed. But so, yeah, like honestly, I like Horizon. I'm going to be glad to get to Horizon 3, where hopefully they can finally end a game without a giant cliffhanger. I think it's going to be hard to beat the way that Horizon Forbidden West ends. Like, I don't think we can escalate past that unless, fucking Cthulhu shows up.
No, I'm hoping no. It's probably going to end on the
please close it up with a trilogy. But like I'm waiting for a chance for Guerrilla to be let off the hook and maybe make some multiplayer games again and hopefully be okay at it, because even if it's not necessarily Killzone, they made decent. I remember those shooters fondly. They had good feels. Could be out there. And they've got other exclusives coming. Like speaking of interesting relationships with Xbox, like allegedly Koji Pro was supposed to be working on a coding project with Xbox. Haven't heard any of that shit at all. And instead, Kojima Productions is working on Death Stranding 2. I would also, by the way, Shadows of the Erdtree definitely going to be at the Game Awards because, like I said, FromSoft and the Game Awards are, like this. Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are like this as well, so expect Kojima to be there with a new trailer. Like, I cannot imagine a world where Hideo Kojima does not, when he has a new game that he's working on, does not pop into the Game Awards to be like, hey, look at this shit. I edited this myself. That kind of stuff. But, like, they're brewing projects, but that's again, all kind of that single-player story stuff. I'm wondering, what would be a good breakout for Sony in the multiplayer world? I don't even know, man.
Well, I think that's what their intent is with Marathon, honestly.
It's true.
Like I said, this is this is what we're talking about. Foam Stars does look like a cat bash of several IPs into one, but I think it has enough originality that it could form its own identity.
Yes, I believe some people did actually, people who played the closed beta, they did actually try it out and were like, okay, there's some adjustment that needs to be made here, but there's a unique game under here.
Yeah. And of course, picking up Bungie and having them trying to make a FPS definitely also this. But again, the thing with the Marathon and behind closed doors is they're talking about this is alpha stuff, and so this means there is still a lot they can change, a lot they can fix.
Yeah.
But other than that, the reason why I've been so scientific is because I've been trying to remember multiplayer games from PS4 and back, and I was like, which one was I really into? Like, the first one I thought was Call of Duty. I was like, son of a bitch.
Nope, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
I mean, I could go over to the shelf and start, digging through my archives, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, all the games that I played popularly, I played some free-to-play shooters and stuff. Played some Blacklight Retribution in my day on the PS4. But, one of my favorite multiplayer games on PS4, Titanfall 2.
True.
It's a very solid game, had a good single-player campaign, and had a good multiplayer. That obviously would be through EA, so that would not be exclusive, though it could be another, fun title to bring in. And who knows, EA might... I don't think EA is, wanting to, pick any fights in the relationship, but I'm sure that they could get favorable coverage to Sony, at least. Be invited to show off their game first a couple of places. But, that is unfortunately still dead in the water. A lot of people are, feeling that EA may be putting out the vibes of Titanfall 3, but nothing is confirmed yet. It's all nebulous. And I should say this because this is, another interesting franchise lineup. Vibes-based, game theories can take a while to percolate. Literally, how long did we hear about Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake? How long? 6 months? A year? It was a long time. Those rumors were out there for a while, and the game probably was in some kind of, pre-pro or early production level when those rumors were coming out. But it was so early in the production, talking, earlier about, behind closed doors and alpha shit, that they didn't have anything to show. And then eventually they hit us with Metal Gear Delta, which we hope and pray is good. Looks good. The Unreal stuff they're doing looks very nice. And like I said, it does... an interesting thing is that Konami does seem to be trying to repair and maintain their relationships with some of the big names in the community, including David Hayter. They sent him a free copy of, Master Collection #1 and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, it sounds like they're trying to, maybe roll back over that bridge that was a little ruffled by, presumably, if not Kojima himself, the Koji Pro side of the team. Because, I'll say this. Konami and Kojima have not always been the nicest to hater. I think they made him, like, re-audition to be Snake, like, twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there have been attempts to previously kind of, like, shuffle him out. I don't know if some of that was, like, Kojima's own, like, big obsession with movie and TV names, obviously the Kiefer Sutherland casting for Metal Gear Solid 5, or just, a lot of people in the biz have this idea of Konami as co-money, trying to get a little bit more cash out, squeeze a little more. It unfortunately looks like there is still some co-money out there. I've been seeing some reactions from Silent Hill Ascension. That thing happened.
Ooh, yeah.
It is a thing, and that's probably the best we can say about it.
I don't even know if I want to call it a thing. I just want to call it an it.
It is a process. It is a something. I don't think it's a video game. Talking about what is it a video game? I think, and honestly, Legendary, I think that's the excuse for why they were able to actually finally get Hater out, was that there was a reason to do a voice switch up. Unfortunately, the reason for doing the voice switch up was also kind of obvious from literally like minute 1 of the game, so we weren't trying that hard. But yeah, no, Silent Hill Ascension has been happening for a while, and it is something, and I do not think that is a positive something.
I'm still holding out hope for the new Silent Hill, though.
Yes, I think the place we want to put this is we hope the new Silent Hill will be good, because they're getting some writers in to do some fresh stuff. We got some freaky deaky. A lot of people are kind of median on the Silent Hill 2 remake, because that is going to be a ground up production by Bloober Team, who have done some okay work and some work that people are a little contentious on in the past. So people are kind of like wondering, like, will they be able to hit the same highs as the original Silent Hill 2 in a ground up remake? And we will have to see if they can stick that landing. So that's kind of a question mark to people. And like I said, this actual thing with whatever the fuck Silent Hill Ascension is just, woo. Y'all can start looking stuff up. I've got like several degrees of separation with people I follow who are really into Silent Hill, so I have seen some screen grabs on Twitter, and the primary thing you want to keep in mind is they involved the internet directly in making decisions. And if you've ever seen, Twitch plays Pokemon or any shit like that, you know what up.
Never do that. You never do that.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Do not add a bunch of unaccountability, and untraceability, I guess I should say. Yes. I can't think of the proper word, but
basically,
that's how you get
introduced
gremlins.
An element of chaos.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it, I think.
And if you're gonna do that, you got to be ready to embrace chaos, which I don't think they were. Sorry, I was skimming Twitter real quick see if I could grab anything else percolating, but I saw something that I have to. I'll post it in FF14 public again.
Let's go.
I thought about just dropping it directly to the crows, but no. I'll let everyone enjoy this.
Let me go pull it up.
But yeah, like, I don't know. It's wacky. It's wild. There's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, we'll see if Konami can kind of get their shit together. They're not handling the Silent Hill 2 remake or Ascension directly. They basically were like, if you give me money, you can make a Silent Hill game.
Again, I do think Konami's just trying to get out the door with more games and get their name out in the circles. And this scene,
it's not the best look.
It's not the best look right now.
Metal Gear Solid Collection, I think that's an okay look. Like, there are fighters about the technical issues, but you can buy a lot of Metal Gear Solid games and play them now on your hardware, modernly. There you go. Mm-hmm. Good work. We're gonna have to see how that fucking rocks. Obviously, I think, like, they're in a position where Metal Gear Delta is looking a lot better. A prospective, Metal Gear Solid Collection 2 looking better. That's going to be very interesting to see when they decide to announce Master Collection number 2, Arguably, like, I know it's not quite the same, but, IP-wise, Castlevania doing very, very well for them with the, Castlevania Nocturne releasing and them announcing the second season. That's up there. That's got some jams. So I guess we'll have to see. Silent Hill has always been kind of an odd duck for Konami. And I want to say, honestly, Silent Hill kind of became an odd duck for the classics of survival horror as well. Like, when you think about your big survival horror classic names, right? You got your Resident Evils, you got your Silent Hills. Oh, my mind's blanking. What's another really big classic survival horror franchise in this block?
Survival horror? Fatal Frame?
Yeah, Fatal Frame's another one. And, like, Fatal Frame, like, definitely coming out at the same time. Fatal Frame used to be kind of, I think, the weird odd duck in that trio. Like, Silent Hill, very, very memorable. And obviously, like, Resident Evil.
Well, actually...
Resident Evil
Fatal Frame...
suffered from franchise fatigue, but they really brought it back.
Yeah. There are a couple other titles, because I'd also say Parasite Eve and Dino Crisis, but I kind of put those in the same kind of genre as Resident Evil.
And they kind of petered out, oddly.
Yeah.
Like, there were only, like, a couple really solid Dino Crises. Did they actually make a Dino Crisis numbered 3? I don't remember.
I believe they did, and it was garbage.
Yes, that's why I was trying to remember if they actually called it 3. Yes, I'm remembering the Sphere Hunter video now. But, like, they had 2 solid games, and then a third, and it didn't go anywhere. Parasite Eve, I don't think they ever made a third game.
They did, but no one will acknowledge it.
Okay, so they also did the classic. They did a third game that nobody wants to talk about.
Yes.
And made 2 solid games. And obviously a lot of people are kind of bandering around. I mean, System Shock's not really considered, like... I know the original System Shock is kind of a survival horror game, but System Shock is kind of the definitive grandfather of the immersive sim genre. Them and Thief, kind of like...
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I wouldn't call that survival horror, although it does have a lot of those elements. Like, God, like, System Shock is what inspired games like, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex is quite literally, the baby of System Shock and, Thief.
And then, from there, games like Dishonored, and all that kind of stuff. That's that tree.
I would argue, it's kind of funny. This seems to be the chain going around, but I would argue also, like, leading to games like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which, honestly, because somebody made this analogy the other day, they said that Cyberpunk 2077 was kind of trying to be in that vein, and I'm kind of like, yeah, no, that kind of fits. Like it's a first-person RPG, so it's definitely, like, in that sort of style, which is funny because a lot of people are now saying that Bloodlines 2 is trying to be Cyberpunk from the way it looks, and I'm just like, it's funny how that goes around and comes around. But yeah, like, immersive sims, which I do want to say I know are very ill-defined, very nebulous zone, but yeah, System Shock is generally considered the origin of that genre, one of the big daddies, along with stuff like Ultima Underworld,
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do think the original System Shock has survival elements, but yeah, I would say that I think Lucky got it. The triangle in my mind is RE, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame's still trucking. They had some weird years where they kind of, like, fell off the map, and I think they got, like, partially owned by Nintendo or had to take a lot of contracts from Nintendo, so some of their games ended up weirdly exclusive. But they're coming back. RE, obviously, we talked about, they had some franchise fatigue around 6 and Revelations. And also, I think there was a Revelations 2? Oh my god, there's so many Resident Evil games. But then they did, 7, and they brought it back, so, like, and then the remake, so, like, RE's fine. Dino Crisis is not fine. Though I did see a trailer somewhere for, apparently, they are doing a Exoprimal X Monster Hunter crossover. Probably a good look for Exoprimal. Sadly, that game does seem to have a little bit of the live service etology in it, and it's just a little too grindy for what you get. A little too repetitive. Also, you have to do online matchmaking for story missions, which means that you can be doing the same story bits, like, over and over again, which is weird. That's a weird decision. Don't do that. That's like if my only way to progress story dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV was to go into leveling roulette. It's weird. But yeah, there's quite a few. So it's Silent Hill has definitely, I think, been in a bad... I mean, obviously they've been in a bad way because Konami literally said, hey, we're done with video games. We're gonna make cardboard pachinko machines. We don't need none of this video game business. And the people were like, no, don't do that, no. Why would you make Metal Gear Solid 3 a pachinko machine? No. You watch the HD graphics and you slowly shrivel up and die. But then Konami was like, shit, wait a minute. We can make even more money through video games because pachinko machines are only, like, available in Japan. And we're no longer going to be a giant company if we only market to Japan. This was a realization Square Enix, I think, explicitly said they hit, like, a year or two ago. They were like, hey, we've realized we make games at a scale, we can't just market them to Japan anymore.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to guess Konami probably had a similar revelation that was like, wait a minute, our market is super capped if we just try and produce pachinko machines. I would argue, given the way population trends in Japan have been lately, that means that their market is technically shrinking. As I do believe that the population of Japan is still contracting. So that's hard to market to growth. But if you can sell, people video games they like again, it works. So yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know. Like I said, I normally I try to focus on the positives more than the negatives. Not to say that I ignore negatives, but that gives me the agita, and I don't like that. So I try to put some of that stuff out of mind. So there's been some bummers about video games we've discussed, but there've been some high points, and it looks like there's gonna be some high points next year.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wrap up, I think, because it's almost midnight, and we've crossed the 2-hour mark. I did mention earlier that I've been doing a little bit of chipping away at Cyberpunk. I did hit the level cap, I think I found a decent spot for my build. I probably want to slam a jam a couple more perk shards somewhere, hopefully, but we're all right. We're doing okay. I'm having fun. But I have still been sitting on this sneak into a party mission for a while, and I'm I have not yet taken the time to sit down and do that. Maybe I will do that tonight while I brew up this episode, but I've been kind of chillaxing, and like I said, I've, again, for no particular reason, definitely been into logging into Final Fantasy XIV most every day and doing some stuff. Some of that is the Fall Guys collab, because I am, just like real Fall Guys, I am terrible at it. I admit this. Yes, I have made it to the 3rd round a couple of times, but I'm still terrible at the game. But honestly, it's pretty fun, and for the most part, parts of it are very not fun, but, it kind of evens out. But, we showed this on stream after you left. We got one match in with everybody.
Yeah.
Before I ended the stream for the day, so people got to see some good vibes. And I don't know if Lot said anything, but he won on stream. So he was our last bit for the night. He got to get his crown, his chicken dinner. We got to see him in his little hat jumping up and down. So, it's an interesting time, and I appreciate how they have arranged Final Fantasy XIV mechanics to fit the Fall Guy vibes, basically. That's, I think, the best way to describe it. Everything is visually themed to Fall Guys. These are absolutely Final Fantasy XIV mechanics. And I, can't wait to get to a dungeon where I get the fucking spinny arrow, and I'm I know this.
Oh, I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know if you'll get it in a dungeon, but there are definitely raid bosses and alliances that have it.
Some stuff like that, yeah. Some of them I already know. Just today, I did alliance runs, and we got City of Mahawk, and I didn't remember that Ozma did Acceleration Bomb, but when I saw the dice over my head, I was I know this. Acceleration Bomb. Shit, freeze.
Yep.
We also managed to not wipe to Ozma. We did get half-wiped twice, but one healer survived both times, so we lived. But yeah, so, it's interesting. It does kind of, I think, in a way that, yes, unfortunately, some people are being a little smug and elitist about, oh, now the plebs can experience what ultimate raiding is like. But in general, it is kind of funny that there does seem to be a general observation by a lot of people where they're oh, this is what endgame mechanics are like? For better or worse, because there is, I've seen some slight quotings about people. I mean, both as a negative, but also as a positive. There are some people who are yeah, no, if you're not, serious into, high-level raids and stuff, or, you're still catching up on endgame content, you may not have experienced some of these mechanics ever, and this is your first time getting a look at them, and yes, it will probably prep you for some stuff, but also it does kind of reveal to a wider audience some of the spots where Final Fantasy XIV is a little shakier, a little more spaghetti-y. There's a lot of conversations going on about latency and hitboxes, basically, and how the server determines if you are hit. I will say the one thing that I think bothers me about Blunderville Square, definitely not the name. Great name. Good work. Also, all the rewards are pretty rad. But it's interesting how in some maps they show you the markers for certain obstacles. I think it's Manderbean Fever has the swinging axes that actually shows you the little white hitbox on the ground, right, that sweeps back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
And in the Typhon spin thing, is that just called the Typhon rotation? Anyway, that has the little vertical pink bumpers that slide. That actually shows you the line for when they're about to slide. I forget what it's called, but the crystal, I think it's called Saw something, but the Retrieve the Crystal one, right?
Yeah.
That has swinging pendulum axes and bumpers, and doesn't have the hitbox markers. You just have to eyeball it. which is bad because your eyeballs are wrong, basically. Final Fantasy XIV does not work based on your eyeballs. It works based on what the server can perceive. And so there are times when I feel like I just have absolutely the wrong sense of timing because it's hard to, like, deprogram my brain from my eyes and just catch the right timing. Because the moment you want to move is... basically, the way I judge it is when the invisible, like, hitbox line is drawn, you don't want to be anywhere in that. When the server draws the line that it is about to move that bumper, if it finds you're on that line, you are hit. Even if the animation is going, if you move through that area after the line is gone, you're fine. This means I have absolutely been, like, 2 or 3 like lengths of my stride past a bumper, been obliterated. And other times, I have been walking along just as it passes, perfectly fine, even though on my screen I definitely walked through that object, And it's just, I don't know, I guess what's the best word for it? There's some cognitive dissonance there, right? You can see the game and go, that didn't hit me? What the fuck? But that's not really how it's working. But, it's still frustrating in the moment. But basically the thing that I think is interesting is, and I hope that we will get there, is that, like, this is going to rotate, So I'm hoping that they may fix some of the timing in this, or maybe they might make it so that you can see some of the lines, because honestly, I don't think that's going to make it any easier. It would just make my brain wrap around it a little better. But I hope that they can introduce also some new, concepts here and then as well. Like, I'd love to see maybe some different maps. I do think that they did do something to fix the matchmaking after that first night we did it, because, like, we had to sit in Blunderville in some long-ass queues.
Oh, yeah, and, like, there was, like, that place was packed, too.
Yes. It was instanced, even. Like, we had to party up before we got in there to guarantee that we would all be in the same room with each other. Ever since that day, whenever I have gone there, both as a solo and as a party, queues are instantaneous, and they move you into the waiting room now. But this does result in weirdness, where on the game we played on stream, with... did we get up to 5 or 6? I don't remember. We were like 5 or 6 people deep. When we did that, we got into a lobby, right? The pregame lobby. That did not fill up completely. Only like 14 people got in before the timer ran out and it started the game. So, like, I think they did actually adjust how it works. So instead of, like, leaving everybody in Blunderville Square until you get exactly 24 for a queue, they've started populating people into the lobbies first. And that does occasionally mean you get some small lobbies. Those are very funny. When the first qualification is 8 people and there are literally 9 of you, or exactly 8 of you and only 7 will qualify, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does kind of seem like they've shifted some stuff around. But yeah, it's fun. But other than that, like I said, I've just been doing, other stuff, doing some CC, experimenting with some Palace of the Dead solo. Got my ass kicked randomly in the 11 to 20 floors. Doing a lot of practicing and leveling with Sage. It took me a while to grasp all my buttons, but I do think I really like Sage. It's a very interesting design for being a healer, and it makes me wonder if, like, the design team, right, for the job just went like, okay, some people treat healer as green DPS. What if we just made that the class? Like, it's a little weird because when I played Astro, right, that's a very supportive healer, but it's a healing job that has, normal buttons you would expect from a healer. You've got, single target and AoE heals that are instant. You've got an emergency heal button to just be like, whoa, hey, stop dying. And then you've got single target and AoE regens. When I was playing Astro, normally I would be like, okay, we're about to, eat a raid wide. Everybody take a regen. Oh shit, we just ate a raid wide very suddenly. Everybody, take an AoE heal. I see a stack marker, I throw up a regen or whatever. I got in the habit of when I was paired with, doing Duty Finder with tanks, I would almost always stick a regen on my tank, period, just because I couldn't trust them not to pull 900 men and die. So I wanted to just be like, you always get a little bit of healing, please. Stop dying. Sage is completely different, because the primary way you do that, there's, I think Sage has, like, 1 regen, and that's their emergency button. That gives you, like, autophysis to, like, give you a delayed heal or a health over time kind of a thing. The way Sage does that kind of, like, little babysitting healing is deeps. You stick Cardion on the tank and you just shoot people. We did some runs while you were doing some early leveling of Gladiator and doing Copperbell Mines, not hard, regular. I basically had no buttons except Cardion and Dosis, and I think like one might have had my AoE heal. Definitely had my single target heal as well. But it was like I was able to keep you mostly alive just by like shooting whatever mobs were around.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward, so I think I do like it. It's kind of interesting. The way the skills are spread out is a little weird. Like I've been doing mostly like 50 or 60 content in roulettes, and so I don't have my single target barrier, but I have my AoE barrier move. So like you can keep your whole alliance or party topped off, but it's weird to me to not be able to go, oh shit, my tank is going to die. Please take less damage, so tank. No, I just have to be like, well, better get ready to throw out some quick heals and start shooting guys when the tank gets back from this tank buster. But it's different, but I like it. I'm very comfortable with it. I've also been greatly enjoying Gunbreaker as well. But yeah, I'm playing a lot of 14.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's everything I had to bring up. We're at about 2:20. Anything else you wanted to mention offhandedly in the What's Up times?
Nah, I think I'm good. I got
Okay.
nothing.
Well then, Chad, I hope you'll forgive me, people at home, audience, dear listeners, if I very quickly get us the fuck out of here, just because I do have to edit this thing. So, that seems like it's time for the outro. So be sure to like this video if you're watching it on YouTube. You can leave your comments in the comment section down below, or check out our Discord.
Discord.
Link in the description and our channel pages. We have public channels for all sorts of things. FGO, Nikkei, Final Fantasy XIV, generally games, animes, whatevers. Books, even. Anything you want, we got it. Music, we got you covered. Check it out. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel to get more videos. Like, I have to work on a Wanted for Roma soon. That'll be fun. I wonder if I can find some cool Like a Dragon Gaiden music to slip in. Anyway, sub, ring the bell if you're already subbed to make sure you can get the latest videos. Sorry, my voice died halfway through there. It's fine, I've got it. I'm back. But yes, ring the bell to let you know when we're streaming or when we're watching a new video. Because not only were we normally streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake, but we were also bonus streaming Alan Wake 2. Both are a great time. You can join our channel memberships to get access to membership badges and emotes. And like I said at the front of the show, you can consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get these episodes of Let's Talk FGO in audio format for as little as $1 a month, approximately $10 a year. At higher levels, you can vote in polls like Fanservant Friday we did this week, and get access to video releases like Wanted Early. And at even higher levels, you can listen to us record Let's Talk FGO live every single week. Be part of the Patreon peanut gallery. Oh, is Okinu first? Okay, then yeah, I gotta do that one first. I don't remember the order. It's easy to know that Ryoma's involved because they've named the event after him. But yeah, Okinu first. Okay. Alright, well, I'll get warmed up for a double feature. Anyway, that's been Let's Take FGO for this week. We'll be sure to see you guys next week. And hey, if you want to hear more from us, check out the spooky special Genesis AP that's out now. Incident at Benison Island. That's it for me. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.